Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Kickin podcast. To support the channel, make sure you stop by the store in the description on your way out to pick up awesome t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, and stickers for that fighter in your life. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to follow along for more content. The following is a conversation with Anthony Dixon and Johnathan Ramos. In this discussion, we go over various financial strategies in which people can use to start building their wealth, position themselves for success, and get the American dream of eventually buying their own home. We also go over just various topics of personal growth, our journeys, and just finding out how tough you are as a human being. These are all topics that I firmly believe that we should discuss in schools and be taught. Unfortunately, what is taught inside of our schools are not these topics, and people exit the school system not knowing the life skills and not having the tools in order to succeed and grow in life and to grow themselves and grow their wealth and then eventually be able to take care of their family and their community. This conversation is full of laughter, but at the same time, I do want to highlight how serious these topics are, because people who do not get their finances straight, who do not focus on personal growth, they go on to lead very tough and difficult lives, and they make the lives for their loved ones extremely difficult, and then the cycle continues and spirals out of control, and before you know it, you have entire communities that are devastated by poverty. The solution to poverty, the solution to all the difficult things that we go through is through self-growth, is to continuously work on yourself and work on your wealth building skills. I want everybody to leave this conversation that we're about to have with a newfound hope that they can accomplish whatever it is that they need to accomplish and grow into wonderful, awesome, and powerful human beings that make the world a better place. Thank you for tuning into this podcast, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. On the contrary, what is too much research?
There's no such thing.
Like the universe is like 15 billion years old. The human race is 200,000 years old.
It's true.
Like, is there what is too much information?
I don't know. The way Google's set up, you could totally look for too much information and find something real specific that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make any sense. So.
I've known Dixon for a little over a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I've yet to ask him a question about something he hasn't done research on.
That's not true.
I feel like Dixon, my nail itches. He's like, dude, you're running too much.
By the way, the cameras are rolling now.
Yeah. It's all right.
Like,
what's going on, fellas?
Christ,
What's up, bro?
I give fist bumps to everybody that sits in this room with me.
Yes, sir.
Ooh. So thank you very much. Welcome to the show. Just Kicking It. So the reason I brought you two on, I've been wanting to bring you guys on for a little while now, but I couldn't quite figure out like the angle of conversation that I wanted to talk to you on. But I feel like right now it's a really good time to bring you guys on, given that you both work, deeply in the financial world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mortgage brokers,
lenders, loan officers.
Yeah. And so like we're like this craziest financial time in American history, human history.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, what the do we do right now?
Yeah.
Rates are high, prices of homes are up, and rates don't seem to be slowing down at all. We'll see, but and a lot of people are like, should I buy a house? Should I not buy a house? Conventional wisdom says don't time the market, but at the same time, this is like the scariest time in the last 10 years. We haven't had a true, like our generation that I'm assuming we're all the same age. Mm-hmm. Our generation has never seen a true bear market since 2008. And in 2008, we were in freaking college. What the hell did we know?
Right.
So like, what? So I'm just gonna start with, what should the average human being do? Now, this is not financial advice. This is just three homies talking.
Yeah.
About things that just happen to pertain to finance. So I'll start off there.
So the thing that I would say to like that statement, which you kind of hit it on the head to start, right? When we talk about history, you should always learn from history, right? Mm-hmm. So we look at 2008. 2008 happened. It was a crazy time, but then also look at the people that were investing in that time period, right? You have like Warren Buffett and Tony Robbins, right? They've written extensive books on investing, you know, through any conditions, as well as specifically investing when there's that scarcity mindset, there's that, you know, mindset of like, is it too dangerous? And generally what happens, they say, is like people that are investing in those time periods tend to jump the wealth gaps once the market recovers, because it's inevitable. I mean, whether we're propped up by the government or we're propped up by corporations, at some point or another, they can't let the whole U.S. fail. Like, that's, I don't want to say it's an impossibility, but it's like
Ray Dalio has some words about that.
He does. He very much does. But I mean, as an overall, you know, looking at how things have operated in the past, if we use that as a lesson, then it would be that don't necessarily be afraid. I mean, it's okay to be cautious and things like that, but then you have things like, when it comes to like home purchases, for example, you have missed equity and things like that, which is the difference between the interest rate that you're seeing today versus how much equity the property gains in the same time period. Generally, it's dwarfed. Like, it's not even really a comparable how much that property appreciates versus what you would spend extra on that, you know, interest rate that you can always refinance out of, or, you know, move into a different loan product, or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. So I would say that is kind of like my just like overarching idea on that. You know, obviously we sell mortgage. I mean, that's our job, but you know, that doesn't come with, that's not necessarily, I may have my own bias, but.
So I can trust you then?
You can trust me. I mean,
buy now, no matter what.
This podcast is over.
Yeah. Click.
That's funny.
All right, but
I think I have a completely different thought on this. So, I mean, you know, he definitely is talking about the history. I'm glad you said that, because there's a lot of people who, number one, just don't know the history, right? What if you're 21, 22 years old now, and you're just not like Dixon, we talked about it, like researching everything. They don't do that. They know they want to buy a house, right? Mm-hmm. So I think for those people, I would say, you know, everything is about strategy. Just because, you know, the market's up, the market's down, rates are up, rates are down. If you want to invest in property, you just have to have a good strategy. You know, what are you looking to do? You want to stay in this long term? You can always refinance out. You want to flip, you can still flip, right? Mm-hmm. You just have to find the right property. So I think just understanding how to get the best out of your strategy and researching that is the best opportunity. No matter what's happening in the market, there's always opportunity to make money if that's what you're looking for. Or if you're looking to purchase long term, again, I wouldn't, obviously, again, history does repeat itself, we know that, but a lot of people don't know the history. I think myself, if I wasn't in mortgages or real estate, I wouldn't research what's their history on real estate. That's just not who I am. Mm-hmm. That being said, like I said, I think that being said, you know, just going in with a strategy and understanding what your strategy is, and maybe talking to people who have, you know, flipped or whatever it is you're looking to do is going to be the best opportunity.
All right, so let's gear this towards your average American. You know, they're not an investor. They've got a regular 9-to-5 job. You know, make average salary anywhere from like 60 to 80,000, whatever, wherever it is. What strategy should they be focusing on right now? They're trying to go from renters to just homeowner.
Sure. So I think for everybody, for anyone who's looking to buy property, and you know, let's talk about long term. Let's focus on that. You're looking on long term, right? Normally, you buy a house, right? Traditionally, like you buy a home. It's normally you start a home. You figure it out, right? Is it going to be things are going to fix? You learn how to own a home, right? Mm-hmm. From there, normally you grow out of that house pretty quickly, right? Because your income grows. Whatever happens, you normally want a better house. Mm-hmm. Shortly after you buy that first house, it automatically comes. You own a home?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've had that as well, right? Mm-hmm. You bought your home, you're like, this is great, but maybe in a year you're like, yeah, I want another one, right?
I want like 10 more.
Right, but whatever it is, but like now you're getting into a real estate mindset. That being said, the strategy should always be get into a property now. Mm-hmm. You know, if we talk about history, no matter what happens, eventually you're going to have equity, right? No matter what, even if, you know, everything crashes today, it's going to come back. And history will tell you that the properties are going to be worth way more later on, 10, 20 years from now. So from there, so the strategy would be buy a house. Once you're ready to get a new house, don't be scared. Just get into your new house. Obviously, you want to look at rates, and you'll be a lot more familiar with the process and what matters. Rates, insurance, taxes, all those things. You'll be well aware of those things now. And you buy a new house and rent the other one, right? There's two things, right? There's two things that's going to benefit you when you do that. Number one, you'll have a renter who's going to be paying that house off. Right, you may make a few dollars as well, depending on how what the rates, the rentals is in that area. But furthermore, now you have two homes, and you can continue to do that. And when you buy your next home, we can use that income to offset your debt to income ratio, right? So if you might think, if you're not in real estate, you can't afford two homes. No, you can't afford two homes, but this renter can help you afford that two homes, right? So now that $1,400 mortgage, you're making $1,500 in it, that offsets. It's like that's taking care of itself, and you can focus on your new home. And you continue to do that. And that's what most investors do, or just anyone who is in real estate does.
Playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
I don't want that phone call at 1 o'clock in the morning that my bathtub it's backing up and my toilet bowl is backing up, my house stink like shit.
So for those situations, obviously there's a surplus of property management companies, right? There's always somewhere that you can go where you can kind of offload that portion of it. Like if that's not your steeds or what you want to deal with, there's always ways that you can, get that chore off of you. And then, the property management comes to you with the real big problems, and they're like, hey, this, or they'll tell your renters like, hey, look, this really is not something that is within the scope of what we help with. Now, what I would say is just to from what he said, I think that, there are steps to that home buying process, right? Because he's saying, buy a home, go through those steps. But I think for the people that are looking to purchase property, or they have that idea that they want to be homeowners, I think the first step obviously would be talk to a loan officer. And the reasoning behind that is our job is basically to, one, look at your income, look at your debts, and we have tools that help us see exactly what you can afford based off of the criteria and the guidelines of the different programs that are out there. So the first starting point is that. And then the second thing, is ideally you should have some cash saved up. We do run into instances where people don't have anything saved up, and that makes things a little bit more difficult. There are ways, there's grants, there's down payment assistance programs and things like that. But even with some of the down payment assistance programs that are out there, they generally still want you to have some skin in the game. Like you have to have some of your own funds tied up in the transaction in order for you to qualify for those DPA assistance. Now, there are some grants out there that are crazy, that are just like, here's a ton of money, find a house, and as long as you fit some of these criteria, you can use that money for any portion of the transaction, whether it's buying points, whether it's down payment on the actual property towards the principal, and those things are forgivable. But
tell me about those and why they seem like such a good idea, and what's the other shoe on the other foot?
Okay, so when it comes to down payment assistance and programs like that, I would say the benefits, obviously, they're supplying you funds towards the closing. So you have the potential to not necessarily have as much money available to you for the transaction that you can put down to bring down the principal. In a lot of instances, those down payment assistance programs are either 100% forgivable, or, and it's after a certain time period, sometimes 5, 10, 15 years. In other scenarios, they all generally operate in what's called a second lien position. So you fail to pay your mortgage, and then you go into foreclosure. They have the opportunity to take that property because they own that second lien position. The other scenario, instead of it being completely forgivable, is that whenever you go to sell the property, they would take a percentage of the proceeds of the sale whenever that happens.
Whatever you owe.
Yeah, correct. Whatever you owe them. It's not extra. Generally, there's not any interest. The majority of those programs are government based. So, it's not really about the money. It's just about availability. Now, some of the pitfalls to these programs, debt to income limits, like they're more strict on how much debt you can have going into the process. And generally, you qualify for your primary loan, which is that first lien position, and then you have to then qualify for the second lien position loan. So you carry 2 loans, even though one of them is forgivable or it's paid back at the sale of the property. You have to qualify basically twice for that program. So there's that, and then there is the fact that they take a little bit longer to close. Generally, a loan can close if all your finances and everything are in order and you keep records very well. That loan can close in 14 to 30 days, right? When we start talking about down payment assistance, you're probably moving into that 45 to potentially 60-day time period, just because there's a lot more things that have to get done on the back end to make that loan work. So if people are looking to find out about how to find those programs, generally if you type in down payment assistance and your state or your county into Google, it'll pull up a HUD website, or honestly, it'll give you a plethora of information about, what programs are out there for your area code or your zip code, as well as your state and so on.
Plethora, that's a good word.
All right. So obviously you guys are going to be biased in this question, but so even given the high prices, high rates, you guys would still advise buying a home now?
So I wouldn't necessarily say everybody just go buy a home, because even with the purpose of the interest rates going higher is to disqualify some people so that there's not as many loans out there. So, there's people that just aren't going to qualify based on their income or other information like that. They can look into some of those down payment assistance programs. Some of those things kind of bridge those gaps. Some of those programs kind of allow you to go into maybe less desirable neighborhoods, and they're trying to gentrify or fix up. So I would say that the general rule is, I think personally, I feel like everybody should own property. I have family that owns massive real estate portfolios, and they use those as vehicles for development of wealth. At the end of the day, I think that a lot of people kind of miss out on that opportunity because there's not a lot of savings vehicles out there, bank accounts, money market, whatever you want to call it, that have the same amount of ROI on your money over the long term, right? So as an example, right, I purchased my property in Town and Country 6 years ago.
Oh, you're balling right now.
I purchased it for $130,000. The estimate on it right now is $270. We'll probably say it's probably closer to $250, $245. But
yeah.
Where else are you making gains on property, or gains on your money like that, I should say? And the answer is not a ton of places. You could get lucky in the stock market. That happens, Yeah. But generally, a lot of people get lucky like that, and then they.
In Bitcoin, I trust my money to this guy named Sam Bank.
I'm sorry.
No, I didn't give him any money.
No, okay. Okay, I was gonna say I'm real sorry for that.
I gave him nothing.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Not crypto. Real estate is the ultimate wealth builder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the past 50 years, even though we have dips, this continuously went up. Mm-hmm. Houses 50 years ago were, what, 20,000?
Yeah.
15,000?
2 years ago in Ybor, right? Right there.
Those houses were $1,000.
When I was looking at this property, I was also glancing over there, but I was like, I don't want to live in Ybor.
I want to and I don't want to at the same time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. How many people lost out on not owning multiple properties during the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had these houses. They had $300,000 in equity all of a sudden, but as soon as they sell that house, they have nowhere to go. So they couldn't even take advantage of it because they're just going into another $400,000 house. So I think another good plug here on why you should own multiple properties so that you could take advantage of the opportunities when they present itself.
To pull that equity, use it for other things.
Right. So, again, devil's advocate mode right now. I make an average salary of $65,000 a year. I had 40 grand saved up for a down payment, but now prices went up, so now down payment requirements got higher. I can't afford to buy a house right now.
The down payment requirements are still the same.
Okay.
You're talking FHA products, 3.5%. Now the price of the home may be that's a different animal.
Yeah.
But as far as from that standpoint, the programs still have the same down payment amounts: 3.5%, 3%, 5%, 20%.
Right, but so the money I put down can be the same, but because the cost of the mortgage has gone up and the APR on it has gone up along with it. What used to be a $1,100 down monthly payment is now a $1,800 monthly payment.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Well, in that scenario, one, it depends on what you can afford monthly, right? That's really going to be the first part. Generally, these programs have debt to income limits, so it'll say at the max, if you're doing, say, FHA, 56% of your income can be related to your debts, including the property, right? So do you fall inside of these guidelines here? First off, that's the most important thing. Now, if you don't fall inside of those guidelines, then we can talk about how you can reduce your debt and things like that so that you can then qualify. But the programs are really designed around making sure that you can afford what you're getting into. So, and to be the devil's advocate to the other side of this, how much is rent around here? Because rent prices have gone crazy over the last, 2-3 years here in Tampa specifically. I remember when I was purchasing this property, they were gonna go up on my rent like $600, and I was like, I think that I could probably purchase a house and it would be less than what's happening there. Meanwhile, I had lots of friends that were like, they're raising my rent $1,000, they're raising my rent $800, right? So that's one of the benefits of owning property. That just doesn't happen. Like unless you're in an ARM or some weird product like that, the price is the price. That's not going up unless you refinance or make some change to the loan. You get a HELOC or whatever the case is. But
taxes and insurance a little bit, but not crazy.
Yeah. But that's kind of the other side of that. Like, you want to be in control of what you pay a little bit more, or are you at the mercy of whoever owns the property? Because that's what it really is at the end of the day.
But for me, it goes back to strategy, right? I mean, even though you can't afford what you wanted before, you can't afford now the pool. Well, don't get the pool, right? Get the house.
It's a money pit. Anyway.
No, I like nice things.
I know. Get one with a community pool. We live by the beach. Why do you need a pool?
I like having Miami-style spring break parties in my backyard.
Can I come to your house? Wait. Where's the invite for this?
We need to make Miami-style beach money, right?
Yeah.
But I think, again, talking about strategy, just understand that, all right, now you can't afford it, but it shouldn't make you throw away $20,000 on rent this year, right? Get it into a house, and eventually you'll be able to sell that for a profit and get what you like. I mean, just like the stock, I mean, you guys know about that, right? It's all about when you buy, when you sell, right? You can't just buy and sell and make money. It's when you do it. What's the strategy? It's very similar, in my opinion.
I'm with you right away. All right, so... Yeah. So steel man for me on this one. Give me a reason why someone should not get into real estate or buy their house.
Their finances aren't in order.
They can't afford it. You can't afford it, man.
If your finances aren't in order, then you shouldn't be making major purchases anyway.
One of the banks don't care if you can make payments or not. As soon as you can't make payments, they're foreclosing on you. So don't put especially if you have a family.
So if I'm watching this right now, I'm not sure if I'm able to buy a house or not. what are the questions I need to ask myself so that I know whether I'm in position to buy a house or not?
Job stability. Have I been in this same job for 2 years? You know, does it seem like this is something that could go away? Are there potential for layoffs in my field? Do I have funds saved up to put down on a property? Am I willing to have to deal with the things that come up with owning a home? I mean, you know, that's why generally these programs like to see you have some reserve cash after your down payment, because when you own a property, it's not calling my landlord and saying, hey, this broke. It's you either learn how to fix it yourself, or you pay somebody to come in and fix it. And I think those are kind of 3 of the biggest things that, at least for me personally, he may have a different idea on that, but
no, I think it's very similar for me. I mean, I bought my house also in Town and Country back in 2014. Ton of equity now, but when I bought it, right, I knew that it needed a lot of work at the time, and I knew I was able to do that work. So, and I did it. I renovated my house twice in the last 8 years. So understanding when you're looking at this house, what's going to be the maintenance, right? You want a pool. It's a lot. I don't know if you've ever had a pool. It's a lot to manage a pool.
I actually don't want a pool. It's just me.
I'm just saying, but it's a lot. Like you wake up one morning, your whole pool's green. You're like, bang. You gotta run, get tested, go to Pinch a Penny, get the chemicals, mix it. So I've been there. I actually had an above ground pool, and consistently when I first bought it, it was green. Every week it was green. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But eventually, you know, you learn about the filters and all these things. But anyway, so understanding what your property has and what it takes to maintain it. Decks are hard to maintain. Hard. You have to stain them every year, power wash them every year. If not, they start rotting away. Next thing you know, you have to replace all the boards. Termites, right? Insects, trees.
A badger lived underneath and built a home.
Yes. Beehives.
There was this one home I was living in, and the squirrel built a nest in the roof. And up until then, I thought squirrels were really cool. After that, I'm like, no.
No, squirrels are dicks.
No, that's I was like, get the fuck out of my roof.
I had a buddy that got one in his house, and it was a lot of trouble to get it out of the house.
Those things are loud.
Oh my God.
It's going to be the clickbait for this video. Squirrels are dicks.
All right, sorry. Continue.
I forgot what the question was. But I mean, the maintenance on the house is crazy sometimes, right? So I mean, understand that, who can help you. Handyman. Always have a good handyman. Handy, no pun intended. Yeah. Having that handyman is important, man. I mean, I was my own handyman, but a lot of people really don't know. Dixon don't know how to use a screwdriver.
That's a lot. Boy, you better get out of here.
You pour the creme. You pour the creme. Yeah. No, you pour the orange juice and you pour the vodka and you throw it back.
Did you see that video?
Hey.
It's a video on Facebook. Dude goes, "Hey son, pass me a screwdriver." He's like, "All right, but wait, there's no more orange juice." He's like, "What?" He goes, "There's no orange." He's like, "Oh man, I'm talking about a screwdriver." He goes, "Son, I failed you. I'm sorry."
That's funny.
Hilarious.
All right. So, if someone doesn't want to invest in real estate, they just want like a home. Like what else? What type of strategy should they try to build then?
They don't want to invest in the real estate, but they want a home.
Yes, just one single home. I don't care about having like a 50 house portfolio. I don't want to be Grant Cardone. I just want like a single house for my family. Like, what's the strategy there?
Well, I think the strategy there is really location, practicability.
You don't know how to speak.
Making sure the home is practical, right?
Yeah.
So like, we talked about the things that, it takes to maintain a home. So I think location, do you have kids? The school zone are super important. The crime rate, go there at night, see what's happening, right? It looks beautiful during the day, go outside and they're racing cars all through your block all night. It's like, yeah, maybe I'll
or
move
there's
down
50 people on the street at 10 o'clock bumping music.
That's normal, right?
I went to Temple Terrace. I looked at this neighborhood in the daytime and I was like, this is so nice. And then I went back at night and I was like, never gonna not happening.
So I think those things, and then again, the affordability part is going to be super important. Just making sure you're able to afford it, right? You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're taking out more credit cards and more debt just to maintain a lifestyle. Yeah, I think that's important. I think that's something that they don't really teach us in school, like really maintaining a basic lifestyle, a lifestyle that you can afford, right? Everybody's on Instagram, Facebook, want all the flashy things, and it's like you can't afford it. But if you manage your money well, you will be able to.
So how does someone know if they can afford something?
Talking to a lender, we'll let you know real quick. Like, you know, but you know, you will run into some lenders that really don't care about you.
Yeah.
And they're just like, they want to make this sale.
So,
right? So, you know, you have to maybe take some courses, go on YouTube.
How did you guys learn?
Trial and error.
I went to family. I have family that, like I said, has been doing stuff like this for a long time. So you kind of poll the people you know that have done it. And that's probably the best way for me.
Yeah, I didn't even have that. I just trial and error, man. Had bad credit. Been poor. Been negative $150 in my bank account. Been there. And just built it up. You just learn, like, all right, I need to relax. No more partying. No more going crazy. That's, everybody learns differently. But that's why it's important that they teach these things in school, man. I would love to actually do something like that.
We do teach classes like first-time homebuyer seminars and stuff like that pretty regularly also that kind of go over pretty much everything that you're asking, like what kind of things do you need to know before you purchase a home? How can you position yourself to purchase that property? Like a good portion of our job is like partnering with realtors. Generally, realtors tend to run into the clients before we do. You go on Zillow, you click, I want to know more about this property. It's going to put you in contact with the listing agent. So basically, we like to partner with them, and we'll put on courses here all the time, and it'll be like, invite some of your prospects, and we'll talk to them about the home buying process and what they need to qualify, what kind of documentation they may need, what, how to look for areas, what equity is, what escrow is. And we partner with title companies. I'm sure you've met like Lori and them here. Those are like our partners, right? So we kind of work with them to then set up these classes and educate people and do stuff like that so that people are more educated when they start the process, because you would be amazed how many times that we're talking to somebody and they're starting the process and they have absolutely no idea what goes into it, what they need, or anything like that. So.
How prepared were you when you bought your house?
Well, I've been studying real estate for like since 2015. So
like Dixon.
Yeah. You guys know like me, Kevin, and like Graham, Stefan, these guys on YouTube, or like Bigger Pockets.
I'm not familiar with them. I'm gonna have to look them up.
Okay, definitely look into Bigger Pockets. They're like they're a real estate focused podcast.
Okay.
And all they do is like chop shop with like real estate investors from around the nation, around the world even. They talk to everybody from the $1 billion portfolios to the $100,000 portfolios.
Okay.
So like they're very diverse, very good stuff. I'm actually really surprised you guys haven't.
Did not. Another good one for you to listen to would be the Loan Officer Podcast. Although it's called the Loan Officer Podcast, they cater to, like I said, our partners are realtors and the people that are purchasing homes. So they go over everything, through that process as well. So good information.
But I also recognize that like not everybody is me, because I just have like a unnatural thirst for like knowledge and information and just diving into things. And I recognize that a lot of people aren't like that. So I just
thanks, Rex.
You guys obviously are. You guys know your shit.
No. I think it wasn't until recently that I started to be like that.
Yeah.
I think when I was younger, I really didn't research anything. Yeah. Just going with the flow.
Yeah. I'm like in my early 20s. I wasn't that. I was a knucklehead, and similar story to you. I don't know how bad your situation was, but I'll tell you about mine. I was like also like negative few $1,000s in my bank account. Credit score was at 500, and like, forget about it. Like I couldn't even apply for a free credit card. That's how bad my shit was.
When you get declined for secured credit card, you're like, This is bad.
Yeah. So like, I had like just like people just showing up at my house like. I'm looking for a rec suit, and like this little kid walks. Well, I look like a little kid walks. I'm like, yeah, that's me. They're like, you're the one who's in debt. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, are you gonna arrest me? They're like, I can't arrest you. You're a freaking kid. But then like, yeah, it was really rough, and I've worked really hard to climb my way back from that, and I've tried to help people along the way of trying to build their personal debts and personal finances. And I would love, and that's part of the reason why I brought you guys on, because more people need to listen to these conversations and start doing research and getting more financially responsible and stop buying Beamers, when you're,
You would be surprised how many car payments disqualify people from loans.
So I apologize for that, because before I was working here, I was working at a car dealership selling cars.
Selling everyone Mercedes-Benzes.
Ruining people's finances. And that's actually one of the reasons why I don't sell cars anymore, because while I was selling cars, that was when I was getting financially illiterate. And then like the more I learned, the more I realized that like I started preaching to my friends like, yo, make smart financial decisions. And they're like, don't you sell people brand new cars? The worst financial decision. The worst one. You drive off the lot, you lose 30% equity. I'm like,
oops.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
So
it's crazy, and the car payments now. Oh my God! I see $800, $1,200, $1,500 car payments, which is
sick.
That is insane.
On a $40,000 car.
Yeah. I have a Nissan Titan. Give the worst financial decision I've ever made in my life.
Almost pickup trucks hold their value.
They do.
So you're good there.
They do, but I'll tell you what happened. I had another pickup truck. Completely paid off. It's 2017 truck, Nissan Titan. And I had some issues with my new truck. Well, no, I had some issues with the truck. Me and him tried to fix it together.
I didn't break anything. You broke that with your brother-in-law. Please, let's make that clear.
Whatever the case was, Dixon definitely had hands on it.
No. I take no responsibility.
But anyway, long story short, I was just like, man, you know what? I couldn't fix the issue, and I was out of the warranty because this was back in 2020. Might have been January 2021. It was this year. Paid off truck, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get a new truck. Got a new truck. $600 later, $600 payment. I mean, it's not too bad, for a truck.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I had a paid off truck, and now I'm paying $600 a month. Worst financial decision of my life. But I love the truck. Yeah. But I shouldn't have done that. It was impulsive. What's the word? So I was like, all right, lesson learned. I think that's a good thing about failing so much. Is like, you learn some valuable lessons. I would never do that again. I wouldn't let my son do it. I won't let my son do that.
Or you let him do it so that he learns and feels the pain, because there's no teacher like life and pain.
Yeah, that's true. I seen everybody. I seen this thing on Facebook. I think you probably heard it too. He goes like, I drive a Benz. No, he said my grandfather walked.
Yep.
You know how it goes?
It was like my grandfather walked. My son had a Honda. His son had a Benz. And then his son will be walking again, or something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's
it's talking about
tough times. Tough time. He says tough times make warriors or something like that.
So here's how that goes, because I think I watched the same video. It was Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment, and he talked about this. It's tough times build strong men.
Yes.
Strong men make good times.
Yeah.
Good times make weak men.
Yeah.
Weak men make tough times.
Yeah. Oh, you got it perfect. Yeah. Should have started with you, man.
I actually talked about that on my last episode, with another person. So
full circle.
Full circle. So I'll ask you guys the same question that I asked him. Who are you guys in?
Beautiful country we live in.
All right, sorry about that, guys. So who are you guys, and what times are you in? You can answer that either from the micro side or the macro side. It's up to you.
Who are we, and when are we available?
No, who are you, and what times are we in?
Who am I in the times that we're in?
Yes, so you can answer that at a micro level or a macro level. I'll let you choose that one.
Oh, if you want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of thinking about it because I want to say the phrase again.
So tough times make strong men. Strong men make good times. good times make weak men. Weak men make tough times.
Okay, so
who are you in this
Yeah,
time?
yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm probably the strong man. Like my family, I'm the first generation of my family that's born in America. Pretty much, my dad was technically born here, but he was like in boarding school in Jamaica, like pretty much immediately. So I would say that I'm probably like the strong man because like my grandparents did, some of the heavy lifting to get us over here. But my parents kind of made their life that they have now. I'm like that next one right after that, which is like, they can help me as much as they can, but like it's not by any means like they're not wealthy or anything like that. They have financial stuff that they have to deal with. So I would say that it's like working towards like, I'd say the strongman because I figure a lot of stuff out for myself, like, all the stuff that's happened in my house, like as things broke or whatever, that's stuff that I figured out and made, work or repaired or whatever the case was. So I see some of my other people that I know that are just like, I just got to pay for it, or, I have no idea or no interest in figuring it out. So I'd say I'm probably in there somewhere in like strong man or like somewhere in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're a strong man building a good time right now?
Yeah, trying to.
So is your son going to be the weak man living off of your good time?
Hopefully not.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh man, worry about that one.
I don't know. I'm 31. I don't have any kids yet. So
I have 2 kids, 13-year-old and an 8-year-old. A 13-year-old daughter, an 8-year-old son. I think I'm similar. Strong men creating a great time. My kids have no idea what it is to struggle. And to be honest, the step prior to that, my mom struggled, right? Single parent home. But she did well for herself, which made me never be hungry. Mm-hmm. Even though it was harder times, it was harder than what I have, I think. But I never was hungry, right? Always kind of got what I wanted, sneakers, Jordans, whatever it was in high school. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, all right, now I'm living and I want my kids to have more. I don't see my son. It would be very difficult for me to give my son a hard time, I think. Mm. So he gonna be walking. Buy him some comfortable shoes.
So we gotta introduce some struggle into your son's life. Gotcha.
Man, but I think that's a loaded question though.
It's extremely loaded
because
about
my son doesn't have to worry about the things I have to worry about, mm-hmm. so he can focus on the things that I never was able to focus on, right? Mm-hmm. He can focus on school. He can focus on I'll give you a little bit of my story. My mom had me really young, 16 years old. So obviously she wasn't financially stable. Grew up, my grandparents. Grandmother kind of on drugs. Hope my mother don't see this. Grandmother on drugs. My grandfather, number running in the streets. I came from New York.
What part?
Brooklyn.
Yeah, what part?
Coney Island and downtown Brooklyn. My dad from Coney Island, my mom's from downtown Brooklyn.
Hey, Sunset Park was good.
Oh, Sunset?
Yeah,
I knew you look familiar, bro.
Yeah, we don't like you motherfuckers.
I spent a lot of time in Sunset Park. My Nick.
Yeah.
He lived on 38th Street in Fort Hamilton.
Okay.
And so I used to go to Sunset Park all the time.
Oh, yeah. He was in the nice part of Sunset.
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
That's not. That ain't
but
Sunset.
We used to love going to Sunset. The girls in Sunset was popping. A bunch of Puerto Ricans over there.
Anyways.
Yeah, so I forgot where we were going with this. Anyway, so that's me. Then, myself, I left my house. I wanted to grow up so fast. Left my house when I was 16, so that's automatic struggle. No, like 17. Like 17, almost 18. I left my house, got my own place, got my own job. Wanted to be an adult so fast, which, of course, that came with the struggles of being an adult at 18, right? You're not really an adult. So now, fast forward, I have a son and he's focused on sports, right? He's nice. I'll show you some videos later. He won 3 championships last year, went to nationals, touchdowns. He probably will be. He's only 8, so he's not an All-American yet. Okay. But he's nasty. He's nasty. And that's all he cares about is football. My daughter too, she cares about clothes and being cool, and I love it. I love to see them just be you, right? Mm-hmm. Find yourself and be yourself, right? Don't worry about being an adult. Don't worry about, and I think a lot of people have done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially in the last 10, 15 years, 20 years maybe. Like a lot of people in my generation, we want to grow up so fast. I mean, all kids do. But
oh yeah, when I was 18, I knew everything about the world.
Yeah, right. Everything. Yeah. exactly. And so now I want. I guess what I was trying to say, I want them to focus on themselves. Be you. Don't worry about any problems. I'd rather take that workload. But then again, it might create a soft individual that when I can't protect them, then what?
So the question is, how do you give them the life that they want? While creating an environment that allows them to grow into strong individuals without having to deal with the BS of having dealt with things like growing up in the hood projects and other tough times. Doesn't even have to be hood projects, just dealing with like the struggles that come with poverty.
Right. And you know what? When my son was first born, right, obviously as a dad, you want your son to be just like you, right? At first. It's like, I want you to be tough, rugged. I want you to be the way I was. And then like, literally his mom was like, you gotta relax. Like, we're in Florida, right? We're not in New York. No one's fist fighting in the hallways where he goes to school. Like, let him be him. Like, and he's like, now I'm like, you know what? I'll step into his world, right? Instead of trying to bring him into my world. That's tough. I mean, for any dad, I'm sure, trying to figure out, how to make him the best version of himself. But the only thing you can really teach is what you know. It's hard to teach something you don't know. So it's like, at first I was like, man, come on, we're gonna slap box for 30 minutes every day after school. And Sasha was like, man, for what? Like, he's never gonna fight. Just let him be him.
But men love to fight.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, Tampa Muay Thai.
But men love to
fight. I hear you, man. Men do love to fight, but it's that balance, man. Yeah. Because then you don't want to create a knucklehead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It's tough, man. I mean, you can go on for hours thinking about, what you do. I think my biggest advice for any dad out there would be like,
how you closing rings and we're sitting still?
Talking more than you. My biggest advice would be, be in their world, right? Don't try to bring them into your world. That's important. Like, I play video games with him. If you want to play football, go play football with him. Let's talk about him. What's going on in your life? What's your dreams? What's your aspirations? How can I help?
Be there for your kids, not make your kids be there for you.
What's your answer to this question, actually? I'm very curious.
Wait, do you have kids?
No.
We know nothing. You're like
an enigma.
He's like the office ninja. It's like, we know nothing about you, and you're out. You see him, gone.
My interests are many. There are things that I like and I dislike.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's your answer? That didn't answer anything whatsoever. I may be more confused now than I was when we started this.
So what kind of man am I and what times am I in?
Yes.
All right. I want to say that I'm a tough guy that came from a tough time, but I don't really know because life is complex. And how do you know you're a tough guy if some people think they're tough guys till they find out and they get cracked in the face and they find out how tough they really are, right?
Don't go fighting people in the street.
No.
Don't mind me to tell your story.
No,
I'll let you finish.
No, don't let him tell any stories. It's always don't let him do it.
Yeah, no. I got a gym for that where I find out how physically tough I am.
Yeah.
And but what does tough even mean? Like what are these times even like? And I think how tough a time do we really have it here in America where our poor people are fat? Think about that. Every other country, every other time when there were poor people, they were starving.
Thanks for noticing, Rex.
Our people who are like in poverty, like they've got like they're so poor that they have too much food to eat. Like, or like some like how tough times are we really in? I grew up in New York City. I've seen some dumb stuff, but like, how tough am I really? I want to say that I'm a tough guy, and I'm going through tough times, and I'm building a good time for my future. But I don't really know, because like you read these stories of like I don't know if you guys know I forgot her name, but Yilong Park or something like that. No, I forgot her name. But this woman, she escaped North Korea, and the stuff that she went through, where she was telling stories about she would see kids who were so hungry they couldn't move, and because they couldn't move, they were still alive. The rats were just picking at them, and they couldn't get the rats off of them because they're so weak. And then the kids who were healthy, they would catch the rats and eat the rats because they were hungry. But then the rats are dirty, they got diseases, so then they die, and then the rats that didn't get eaten eat the kids. And I'm like, yo, as bad as it is here in America, Detroit, Baltimore, and I've been to these cities, I've seen them, you know, like no one in America is going through that.
No.
So how tough am I really? How tough are the times that I've been through?
Right.
You know, so I'm like, yo, I look at that stuff, I'm like, yo, I'm a little bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like,
me too.
Like the stuff that I've been through, like, oh, when you sit back and look at it, like in America, the biggest problem that most people have is that they're not millionaires. That's their biggest problem.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
No, I'm just...
If that's your biggest problem, you're living an amazing life.
Yeah.
You know? So I want to say that I'm tough, but I can't. When I zoom out and look at it objectively, I can't say I'm a tough guy, nor that I've been through tough times. In all reality, I'm actually probably a weak guy living in good times.
Yeah.
I think I might be with you now that you say it like that.
You know, so like, so when I zoom out and look at it like that, but at the same time, I go, all right, well, that's at the macro scale. But when I zoom in and I look at the stuff that I've been through myself, like the mental struggles, the things that I overcame, like I don't have a 500 credit score anymore. I've got like more money in my bank account that I know what to do with. You know, I'm buying stocks, I'm buying real estate. I bought crypto, and I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, so I'm like, you know, and I'm part of amazing companies now that we're doing big things. You know, like so like. I took what I learned from going what I went through, and I'm building a better future. You know, so like
Right.
I think like depending on how you zoom in or out, the answer changes. So like when you like on a macro level, I'm a fucking bitch. But when you zoom in and just look at the things that I'm doing with these awesome people that I'm with, you know, I have a life where I'm able to just film friends and we talk about whatever. Like, you know, and a lot of people they struggle to even do that. I'm like, yo, just throw up camera, start talking. Like, you know, like. I'm strong. I have to say that I'm strong as an individual, you know, and I'm building a better future. So that's my answer to that question.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on here, by the way.
Oh, no, I fucking love talking to you guys. I'm
Yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah. All right. Whew. So,
I have a question.
Okay.
I'll let you go. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What's better, to be mentally tough or physically tough? If you had to choose.
I don't think that's binary. I don't like. Do I have to pick one or the other?
If you had to pick one or the other.
Mental tough,
Yeah.
hands down, all
What
day
would you
long.
pick?
I'm with him on that because you could have the strongest body and like not have the mental capacity, and you're SOL.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, everything starts in here.
Yeah.
Everything, and like you see it all the time. People are like, you know, like they posture up at you, they flex at you. And you know, or actually, I might go Instagram. People are like, yo, man, look at all these cool pictures I take. You know, I'm at the beach. You know, I got a Benz. You know, I'm like, right now, let me see your portfolio. And they're like, my what?
Yeah.
You know, so like, and the reason they do that is because you know they're focusing on things that are external. So people who focus on being physically tough, they're focusing on the externals. Whereas when you focus on being mentally tough,
I hate people that think they're physically tough.
Hater.
I
Hey,
mean,
you're not allowed at the gym with me anymore.
all I'm
Go
saying,
by yourself.
All I'm saying is I got a really, really great place for you guys to come through and you know,
Let me get to my story. I'm
and
gonna tell you a
figure out how
story.
tough you guys
Oh
are.
Lord,
I'm gonna tell you a story.
Go ahead.
So I don't know how viral this is gonna go. This is gonna be hilarious. So we're at a party, a house party. I won't even call it a party. It was a good time. It was a friend's birthday party, actually. Yeah. This is where we're going with this.
Dixon knows the
So
story.
This is a good story.
he was there. He was there. So
I warned him.
I get there early. They say be there at 8. My dumbass is the only one there at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, I'm the only one there.
8 o'clock means show up at 9.
Yeah. No, nobody showed up till like 11. But I'm there drinking beers by myself, taking shots by myself. I'm like pretty saucy by the time everybody comes. So there's this kid there. He actually lives there. His name is Imani. He goes, I don't even know how it got here.
I know how it happened.
All right.
So Leo said to you, like, we were all talking trash.
Yeah.
Leo goes, "You don't want to mess with Imani," and I was like,
No, but Leo wasn't there that day.
"Oh no, it might have been Macau."
It was you.
Well,
You set me up.
No, I did not. No, I did not. Somebody said it to you first, and then I was like,
Yeah.
"No, you don't want to mess with
Right.
Imani.
It
Like,
started
he's
there.
gonna mess you up."
That's where it started. I'm like, Imani is respectfully like your size, and I find myself. I'm like, I'm a big guy. I don't see this happening, bro. And then I'm like, I gotta see it. I'm like, dude, you can't. He's like,
I can flip you.
He's in the back, like, I'm gonna flip you. He's like, he'll flip you, bro. Don't do it. He did it to me. I'm like, yeah, but I
He
ain't
flipped me
you.
on the beach, and I was shocked. So,
And I'm like, no, I don't see it. So I'm talking mad smack in his ear, right? So next thing you know, he puts his arm on, I think on my chest, right? He goes like this. He's like, if I do this, what you gonna do?
well, he showed him all his medals first.
He
was
showed
like,
me all these medals. He's decorated.
Here's all my judo medals, and he's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear none of that. I don't
Yeah, I'm
wanna hear
talking
none of
mass.
that."
Now I'm fully committed. So now he puts his hand on my chest. He goes, if I do this, he goes, what you gonna do? I'm like, if you do that, then I'm gonna just push you down, right? So now I had him like down. I'm thinking I got him pretty strong. Got him down.
He doesn't want to say it because it sounds crazy.
Yeah. I was.
Wait. So we're standing out in the living room when this first starts, and then he's
Yeah.
like, "Come here, I'm gonna show you something. Go to my room." So he goes into his bedroom, he pulls out all these medals. He's
Yeah.
like, "Look, you don't want these problems." And this dude's like, he's like, "Fuck all that. I don't want to hear nothing you gotta say." He's like, "You're not flipping me." And we're in this tiny room. I'm not even
it's
kidding.
little.
Like the room space
Like
that's
from here to
available.
here?
Yeah, it's tiny.
Like
There's
10 foot by 10 foot.
There's a big table right here. There's
Yeah.
a bed right here. There's a TV on the wall, right?
Yeah.
So he's sitting there talking smack to him. Monty's like, "Yo, what are you gonna do if I do this?" And then he's like, he bucks up real quick. He grabs his arm. And he's like, "I'm gonna do this." And then he's like, "All right, you do that, and then I'm gonna do this." And then he goes, "Then I'm gonna do this." And
Then
he
it
like,
turns into a tussle.
yo, he literally like got a little serious. He grabs him by the back of the neck and he like grabs his hip and he like is holding him on the bed. Like he's literally like, it literally looks like.
Really? Yeah.
I don't care. It literally looks like a
Literally,
jail
I'm on
scene.
top of him like this. Like, bro, you're not gonna do nothing.
And then now
I don't know what happens after that.
Now
Yeah.
I'm literally sitting there in this room like I know he's gonna mess him up, and I'm like making sure, like I'm literally standing up, making sure all the corners and everything sharp are covered. Like I don't know where this is gonna go, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he's like talking trash to him, like holding him down, and then he's like, "You're not getting away." And then next thing you know, this dude's on the floor, laid out,
To this day, I have no idea what happened.
There literally was like a section like this big for
Dude,
him to lay him
I
down in.
dropped.
And he like
And you put him right in that perfect
he
spot.
perfectly laid him out on the floor. And he was
was
just
great.
cracking up. He was just
I was just like, oh my God, this is hilarious. I can't believe he did that. I don't know why that.
I really
what we
wish
talked
I-
about made me think about
I
that.
really wish I was recording it because it was
That would've
I
been a
wasn't
more sore
hurt.
moment.
oh my god.
I wasn't hurt, nothing. I was just down looking up at him like,
He was sore for like
sorry.
3 days after that.
oh
Nope.
yeah, I was. I don't know what he did to me. That was great though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good
I hope
humbling
that was a good
moment.
story for your podcast.
Oh, it was great. I might just cancel everything else that we recorded. Just start with that story, and that's gonna be the entire podcast. Just cut
Hey.
it. Nah.
Start there.
All right, just.
Start there.
All right. So while I got you two in front of me, I need you to steel man the case for me of why someone should invest in stocks instead of real estate.
Okay, well,
That's a question for him.
I'm gonna say por qué no los dos? Why not both? Because
Okay.
you can definitely invest in something called a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust, which is basically somebody holding a large portfolio of property, and that way you can kind of decrease your liability of owning the actual asset, and you can own a portion of a lot of those assets. So I would say you can kind of get the best of both worlds that way.
Okay.
I think that's my actual answer. Like, I wouldn't say don't do either one. I would say if you don't want to own the property, look into REITs, and then you can own it without owning it. Good answer. I don't know.
What REITs are you in?
A lot. I don't know. Yeah, so my portfolio is like, indexing is like my main goal when it comes to my investment portfolio. So I try and look for dividend stocks. So whichever REITs have good returns year over year generally, without being too excessive, because generally you see those companies that provide like a really big dividend, then generally like they're not reinvesting that well if they're giving you like, you know, crazy returns. So
what's a high percentage then? What's a high number? What number should?
I don't know. I generally with those like to see like somewhere between like 3 and 6% or something like that.
6% is high.
6% is high, but then you see some that are like 15, and then that's when I normally see like probably a really big red flag. Something is up there.
Like what?
Are we talking about Mr. Free over here, or that's crazy? Mm-hmm. That is just a very crazy situation. It's really amazing to me that like he's not in jail, and then also that he's like kind of sitting on some of these committees based on like creating the laws for the future, which I feel like he should be as far away from that as possible, but to each his own, I guess.
SBF and FTX.
Yeah.
That's been such a crazy story. I found out the other day, I was looking deeper into it. The guy who was, I don't know what his title is, like chief law enforcement or whatever, his regulatory agent, whatever. The number one guy for regulations in his company. He had recently been busted because, I don't know the exact story, but so I'm probably going to butcher this, so don't quote me on this. But from what I understand, he was part of a scheme where someone created an algorithm for online poker back when online poker was still legal, when online betting was still legal, you know, with actual money involved, that allowed him to see other players' hands.
Oh.
So that he would enter with a group of friends, and they would all play poker.
Oh, and they were just stealing.
And they were just like capping people's money left and right.
Dang.
And this is the guy who SBF hired to run his regulatory commissions, whatever the heck that is. I'm not entirely sure.
Ooh.
And
It just sounds all bad.
yeah,
It's like hiring R. Kelly in a daycare center.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's pretty bad also.
Yeah.
He's like chop that one out.
Yeah.
Beep it out.
But all right, so say someone put a whole bunch of money into FTX, and they, you know, and they're burned right now, and they're scared to invest into anything, you know, stocks, crypto, real estate, gold, whatever. You know, they lost $60,000 of their life savings going into it, right? What should this person do right now? They're scared. They're like deer in the headlights right now because they lost a whole.
So I'd say one, educate yourself. There's a ton of good resources out there. I mentioned like Tony Robbins earlier. He has 2 really good books, Unshakable and Total Money Mastery of the Game, which are great books. They are heavy lift. Well, Unshakable is not a heavy lift. Total Money Mastery is like, that's a big book, and it's a heavy lift to read because it's like really dense material. I would suggest if you don't like reading dense material, then get his audiobook because he does a good job of like at least making it exciting for some of the beginning parts, at least enough to get you interested in it. But basically the principles behind both of those books are talking about like less risky investments that tend to prove you know, profitable over the long term. You know, a lot of people when they start investing and stuff like that, you know, they see the quick money. Quick money is riskier money, where you can, you know, go into like indexes that hold the entire S&P 500, and you can kind of, obviously the stock market over the long term has grown and increased in value, so you participate in the gains of the entire stock market over the long term rather than trying to pick individual stocks. So I would say read those books. Those are great books that really kind of define that, and they also talk about how a lot of the like money managers and hedge funds and stuff, he went to a lot of those people and was like, what would you do with your money, even though you're managing people's money and you're not doing what you would do for them? Well, yeah, it's 2 completely different things. Like, I'm gonna manage your money and I'm gonna be not that risk adverse, but when it comes to my own money, where would you put it? And they're like index funds and a couple other vehicles, but
VTI, Viola.
Great books to read.
Yes.
That's what I'll leave it at. There's another like short video that gives like a really quick breakdown of it, of Unshakable, to give you like a like kind of get excited about reading the information. I'll send that to you later, and then maybe you can like tag that video in there because it's short. It's like 3 minutes or something like that. But it's
100% do that. But I'm trying to make it rain right now. I'm not trying to make money over the next 15 years. I'm trying to make it over the next 15 months, 15 weeks.
You know, that sounds like you trying to sell drugs or something. I don't have any advice on that.
Hey, I got you.
All right. So what are some of the principles that people should learn? Say someone's just finished getting burned by their own bad financial habits. They're trying to figure out what's going on. There's like millions of videos out there. Some are good, some are bad. Not sure where to go. What are the things that they should focus on? Like, what are the principles that they should adapt to in order to start growing their financial life?
I mean,
like start from
for myself,
zero.
From zero, you know, I would definitely say credit is the number one thing you should focus on, in my personal opinion, because credit could definitely help get you out of your situation a little more.
So how do I do that? I'm maxed out on 3 credit cards. I've got a car payment. My landlord's about to evict me. How do I do that?
So let's talk about free, right? You have no money. I would go online, search how to remove certain things off your debt, off your credit. You can do it yourself. Mail the creditors, get those things removed. The items that can be removed, get them removed, dispute them. Once those things are disputed, hopefully your credit score gets high enough to get some credit, get some credit cards. Maybe, I mean, obviously situations
like a
vary.
secured credit card, because
or
it
even not
doesn't seem
secured.
like you're that responsible to start.
But even if it's not a secure, but I mean, the goal would be. I mean, we said no money, so we have no money.
Yep.
So you can't go secured.
Yep. Say I've got no money and I've got 3 maxed out credit cards.
Yeah. So I would definitely.
Like worst case scenario.
Yeah. So I would definitely try to get your credit score up. Go to maybe a credit union. Try to consolidate those credit card debts.
Credit card debt.
Get those into one easy payment, maybe over 5 years. Hopefully they're not that much. And grind at work, whether that's overtime, do some side hustles. Amazon Flex, Uber Eats, Papa Pal. You know, all these things that you can make some extra money, pay off what you have to pay off, and sacrifice. Because I think that's the hardest part, is sacrifice. You know, because these people, I'll speak for myself. You know, me being, you know, when there was a time where I had zero money, the last thing I wanted to do was look like I didn't have money. Right? That's like, it's so hard to do it.
I feel attacked by that statement.
It's so hard to do that when you don't have money. It's so easy to do it when you do have money. It's easy to look broke when you have money.
Dog, I had like the nicest jerseys, the nicest J's.
Zero money.
Zero money.
Likewise. And so I think understanding that, you know, making those sacrifices up front, it goes a long way. And it builds habits for the future. So I think that's a good start. That answers your question.
There's a good Dave Ramsey has Financial Peace.
Yeah, I took his Financial Peace course.
Oh, he's the GOAT.
Yeah, that's a good starting place, because he definitely talks about.
It's like, run like a gazelle.
Yeah. But he talks about having a budget. I think a lot of people miss that completely, and it's a lot of guessing. I think that would probably be the first place I would say start, is like figure out what your bills are and how much money you make, and then make a plan to attack the debt first, and then go from there.
So one thing I constantly hear when I talk to people who don't even know that they should be on a financial journey, and their responses to me often is, I don't make any money. How do you expect me to form a budget and save? How do you expect me to make sacrifices?
Well, you make some money. You got to make some money, or you be on the street. So with the money that you are making, what are you actually doing with it, and where's it going? I think knowing that.
I pay my food, and once I pay my rent and my life bills, I've got nothing left.
Then
I told you the side hustles. We just gave you 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Uber Eats, Amazon Flex, PayPal. I mean,
Papa
PayPal. There's There's a ton of them.
Yeah, but by the time I finish work, I get home, I'm tired. I don't
That's
wanna
what we
do
talked about.
anything.
Sacrifice. That's the sacrifice.
You want me to sacrifice this?
You know, I remember one time I was piss poor. I tiled the dude's whole house for like $300. The whole house for $300.
That's a $1,000 more.
More.
Way more.
No, like I could have charged $6,000.
Yo.
But I was like, I'll do this right now. You got the material, I'll do it right now. And it'd be done in like 2 days. Called off work. Bust it out.
Do what you had to do.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it. And I think
For everybody watching, call Ramos to tile your house.
yeah, all right now.
$600
No,
now.
now I'm like,
This phone's about to blow up. Can I?
yeah. Hey, do you do tile still? Who are you? Watch Rex. What is this called, by the way?
It's called Just Kicking It.
Just Kicking It.
Yeah, because the
You
things
must have
that
watched Just Kicking It.
Yeah, the things I talk about are either martial arts related or we just talk about life, and we just kick it when we just talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of the videos. Really cool,
Yeah.
cool setup. So
Thank you.
yeah.
All right. So, how does someone avoid lifestyle inflation? So for those of you who don't know, like lifestyle inflation is like where you start to make more money, and because you start to make more money, you start to spend more, and
Yeah. That's tough.
yeah.
It's funny. Like I worked in telecom for like about 10 years for Verizon Wireless, and one of the first things they told us when we were in training was like, you're gonna make more money generally year over year, so make sure you're not spending more money. I don't remember who it was that was in my training class. Like one of the trainers told us that, and then it's funny to watch over the years, like being at Verizon and watching how that happens every time without fail.
I got a raise. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm buying a Mustang V8.
Yeah.
Something that I did when I worked there is that every year when I got a raise, I would contribute more to my 401k. But that was kind of my way to like offset that. Is I would just, whatever that difference was, I would just add it onto the 401k so that each year I was contributing that difference, and I would try and live off of what I was making. I mean, that's one method. I'm sure there's a ton of other methods out there, but that was mine. Some people don't have 401k access. That is possible also, but rare, but possible. And some people 1099 or self-employed. It's a little bit more difficult to do that.
What should they do?
I mean, you could set up a Roth as a 1099 or a self-employed person where you do your own contributions. So I mean, that's a method for that also. I'd say that'd probably be one of the easiest ways to do that. I'm sure there's others, but that's just my brain.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think from a perspective of, not being super financially literate, let's talk to those people. Because I was those people. Right? I would definitely say the people you surround yourself with, right? And I would say, as I've gotten older and, built my career, I've met people who had a ton of money who didn't spend any of it, right? So like, those are the people that I look up to now versus the people back in Brooklyn. The people back, not all of them, but the people back, like, it's almost like they spend every dollar they get, right? Or they just, there's a New York mentality where you want to be the coolest person every time. And the older you get, the more expensive it gets. So it's like you get cars and rent a nice apartment. So it's like, it's hard to get out of that. But meeting other people, Dixon is the most frugal person I know. And he's the richest one I know too.
Definitely.
So
not.
guys, get him.
Definitely.
For the ladies, is he single?
Oh. Are you single, Dixon?
I am single.
Ooh. All right. What's your Tinder profile name?
It's just my name, bro.
OnlyFans? What's your OnlyFans?
OnlyFans, Fund Me Dixon, same as my Instagram. I'm just kidding.
His OnlyFans is Massive Dixon.
Oh my god. Oh Lord.
Pause.
Oh Lord. I'm gonna steal that when I start up my OnlyFans.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I just saw a joke. I'm like, I got one chance to crack this joke, and I'm taking this one chance.
Is that the bio or the headline for this video now?
Clickbait.
All
right. I got tears. All right. I definitely want to thank you both for like coming on and just sharing your knowledge. Because I think this is actually really fascinating because I got like two guys here, both they know their stuff financially, but like you guys have like different backgrounds just coming on. Like you came from a similar journey as I did, where like we came from crap and then we did a lot of crap, and then now we're no longer crap. Versus like you kind of like had like a head start. You were surrounded by the right people, which which is no slight to you, more power.
I have a great family and a great support system. I could never take that away from anybody in my family, so 100%.
Yeah. All right. So I guess cameras are starting to run low, so yeah. I still got like 15 minutes left though. Still got like 15 minutes I can add on, so I'm gonna go one at a time. So I'm gonna start with you, Dixon.
Yeah.
If you could have any impact on the world, what kind of impact would you like to have?
If I could have any impact on the world, I would say it's kind of what I have now, like to just be helpful in general. Like, I always tell people like I'm kind of like a wealth of, I always say useless knowledge, but in some scenarios it ends up being beneficial. And whether that's like, I have friends that have like an issue with their car or something like that, like I'm happy to help them out, or all the little things I know. So I just like that ability to like have people that come to me for information, and if I'm able to be helpful in it, I'll be helpful in it. Or I'd say that's kind of the thing that I like the most, or like kind of live for, is just to be like almost like a servant to people in a way where I can help them.
Ooh.
Servant's probably a bad word. But
No. That's a great word. That's a great word. I mean, when you said that, it made me think of another Tony Robbins quote, which is, have you ever read Awaken the Giant Within?
I made it through a portion of that book, but I don't think I finished it. Yeah.
But like one of the things he talks about is that his life changed when he decided to like make his life about helping other people, and he views that like the more money he makes, the more he has to help other people, that he has a responsibility to help them, and that's the way he lives his life. So I think that's pretty much what you've got going on too.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So say the question again. If you could have any impact on the world, what kind of impact would you like to have? I think as I mature, right? We always talk about money and financial literacy and all these things, and I think ultimately, with money, with everything, having everything in the world doesn't give you happiness. The only thing that gives you that, for me, is love, right? So loving one another, spreading love, showing love, supporting people, the non-financial, the things that money can't buy. I think spreading the word that's more important than money, right?
Moments like this.
It's priceless. No, it's priceless. Good friends, good family, just good people around you. It just brings you happiness. You could be dirt poor if you have the right people around you, or just the right mentality. That brings happiness, man. You hear too many times people with all the money, you think they should be the happiest, and they're oftentimes the least happiest people ever.
More money, more problems.
More money, more problems.
Biggie Smalls.
Spread love the Brooklyn way.
All right. Bonus question, since I got you in front of me.
Sure.
For all those people who say like, "Yo, I come from the gutter. I can't make it out of here," what you got to say to them? As someone who's
man, that's heavy, man. I would say, Well, obviously, you definitely can, man. If I could do it, anyone can. But I think surrounding yourself.
Yeah, but you special. I ain't special. You well spoken. You smart. You know that.
I was
ain't
definitely
me.
not. I dropped out of high school, got my GED, went to like a course that taught you how to be professional, and that's how I started. Right. So I just wanted to do it. So I think just having that mentality that you want to get out is number one. What was the thing that we were watching the other day that you was showing me?
Oh, you're talking about the Napoleon Hill?
The Napoleon Hill. It's like you have to believe it. No matter what it is, you have to believe it. And I think, prior to me watching that video, I feel like I had, subconsciously thought that, right? Without watching that specific video. But it's like, you have to know what you want in life.
Make a plan to get it.
And you know what? I think the plan is sometimes hard. I would say just knowing what you want out of life will make you make decisions differently every day to get you out. Like, man, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to get killed. I don't want to sell weed. I don't want to sell crack. I don't want to do none of those things. I want to live a regular life, right? And to be honest, you know what I would genuinely say to those people? To call me.
Ooh.
And let's talk about it.
Give them your phone number.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna definitely get your math and everything after that, and throw it all in the description. Is that okay?
That's fine.
That way, you get some random questions. Yeah. People calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Don't matter. I would answer maybe if I'm sleeping. I'll text me.
Yeah. I love this. All right.
But I love to motivate the youth, man. It's not even not the youth, just anyone.
Just people
who just want help. Just call me, man. I've always been humble. People always look at me and say I look mean. So I'll give you another story. How much time we got?
Go.
So when we first moved when we first got into the office, I was there, and I guess I got this face. I'm just like, no one came into the office not one time. Dixon jolly ass come. Yeah, every 5 minutes. Hey, you guys are new here? Like, I've been here for 3 months. What are you talking about? I'm approachable, guys. Don't let the face
I told him, I was like, you look mad all the time. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
Yeah.
I do not have anger problems. Okay.
It's this guy. It's 100% him.
Okay. All right, perfect. Yeah. All right. Any closing statements you guys want to make?
I'm Anthony Dixon with Home Team Mortgage. You can call me anytime if you have any questions. Also, I'll give my number, 708-302-4907. Feel free to reach out to me or this guy.
Yeah. Home Team Mortgage, we're here. Thank you, Rex.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you guys.
This was fantastic. And if you have any questions, concerns, you want to talk, call Dixon.
Yeah.
All right. If you want to talk about money matters.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about life.
You want to talk about life?
You know, I can say this now because he's probably happy he did this now.
Right.
But when at like 3:45, he was like, "Let's go," and I was like, "We can't. We got this thing with Rex at 6:15." And he was like, "Why would you do this?"
6:15?
He's like, "What?" I was like, "He's got a job. You gotta get off work too."
I'm like, it's 3 o'clock, bro. 6:15? You didn't even consult me on this.
I was like, "I told you about it a week ago." So it was great. This is really cool. So
thank you, gentlemen, so much.
Pleasure.
Absolutely.
We kind of know.
And I will
bit
say,
about you.
I'm sorry, my number is 347-314-3059. You can always call me for real.
347. That's a New York number.
Yeah, I'm
My Chicago.
All right, cool. All right, thank you guys.
This is great, man.
No, that was really hilarious.
Yeah.
We want to